Mr. Lazy lives in Sleepyland, which is a very lazy-looking and sleepy-like place. Birds in Sleepyland fly so slowly they sometimes fall out of the sky. The grass takes so long to grow, it only needs cutting once a year. Even the trees are lazy-looking and sleepy-like. And do you know what time everybody gets up in Sleepyland? The answer is they don't get up in the morning. They get up in the afternoon. And incidentally, this is what a Sleepyland clock looks like. Everything takes so long to do, there's only time for 4 hours a day. Anyway, this story starts with Mr. Lazy being fast asleep in bed. In Sleepyland, they call that being slow asleep. He spends rather a lot of time in bed. It's his favorite place to be. He opened his eyes, yawned again, went back to sleep. Later, Mr. Lazy opened his eyes again, yawned again, went back to sleep again. Much later, Mr. Lazy got up and went to make his breakfast. We say breakfast, although really it was tea time. He put the kettle on to make some tea. Kettles take 2 hours to boil in Sleepyland. Then he toasted a slice of bread. Bread takes 3 hours to go brown in Sleepyland. Toast never gets burnt there. While he was waiting for his kettle to boil and his bread to toast, Mr. Lazy went into the garden of Yawn Cottage, which is where he lived. Sat down on a chair, and you can probably guess what happened next. That's right. He yawned. He yawned again. I went to sleep. Suddenly, he woke with a jump, which is something that doesn't happen very often to Mr. Lazy. And the reason he woke with a jump was because of the noise. Wake up, was the noise. Wake up, wake up, wake up. There were 2 men standing in front of him. I'm Mr. Busy, said one of the men. And I'm Mr. Bustle, said the other. Come along now, said Mr. Bustle busily. We can't have you sleeping all day, added Mr. Busy, bustling Mr. Lazy to his feet. Who are you? Who are you? We're Bustle and Busy. Oh. Come along now. Haven't got all day. But, no time for buts, said Mr. Busy. Or ifs, added Mr. Bustle. There's the wood to chop and the beds to make and the floors to clean and the coal to get and the windows to polish and the plates to wash and the furniture to dust and the grass to cut and the hedges to clip and the food to cook. And the clothes to mend, added Mr. Busy. Oh, dear, groaned Mr. Lazy in a daze. The wood to clean and the beds to get and the floors to cut and the coal to cook and the windows to make and the plates to mend and the furniture to chop and the grass to wash and the hedges to dust and the clothes to clip. He'd got it all completely wrong. He was in such a daze. Then Bustle and Busy set Mr. Lazy to work. Chopping and making and cleaning and getting and polishing and washing and dusting and cutting and clipping and cooking and mending. Not to mention all the fetching and carrying. Poor Mr. Lazy. Now, they said, when he'd finished, it's time for a walk. And off they set on the longest walk Mr. Lazy had ever been on. Mr. Lazy is one of those people who never walks when he has a chance of sitting down, and never sits down when he has a chance of lying down. But this day, he had no choice. They made him walk for miles and miles and miles, until he felt that his legs must be worn right down to his body. Poor Mr. Lazy. When they arrived back at Yawn Cottage, Mr. Busy said, right, now for a run. Oh, no. When I blow this whistle, said Mr. Bustle, producing whistle, you've got to start running, as fast as you can, added Busy. Mr. Lazy groaned a deep groan and closed his eyes. Mr. Bustle put the whistle to his lips. Went the whistle. Mr. Lazy, poor Mr. Lazy, started to run, but his legs weren't getting him anywhere. He opened his eyes and looked down to see why, and the reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere was because he was sitting on a chair in the garden. And there was no sign of Mr. Busy or Mr. Bustle. It had all been a terrible dream. And the whistle was the whistling kettle boiling in the kitchen. Mr. Lazy heaved a sigh of relief. And then he went into the kitchen and sat down to have his breakfast and to think about his dream. But you know what happened next, don't you? Wake up, Mr. Lazy. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Sometimes in sunshine, sometimes in style, sometimes with no time or just with a smile. Up to her eyes in surprises and tricks, no disguising, she's a little handful of trouble, a bundle of fun. Glad you could make it, so glad you could come. Little Miss, we're waiting for you. Ready, steady, how do you do?
One Friday evening, the telephone rang in Early Bird Cottage. Little Miss Late picked it up.
Hi, Miss Late speaking.
Hello, Mr. Silly here. I've been given some tickets for a disco tomorrow night. Now, would you like to come?
Oh, yeah, great. What a wonderful idea.
Oh, righty-ho-ho. I'll meet you at 7 o'clock outside the disco.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
And she put the phone down. Saturday arrived, and Mr. Silly waited outside the disco. He waited, and waited, and waited some more. Poor Mr. Silly went home. Next day, Mr. Silly went to see Miss Late. After a while, she opened the door.
Hi, Mr. Silly. I thought we were going to meet outside the disco.
Oh dear. Late for this, late for that. Miss Late was late for everything. For instance, last year, do you know when she celebrated Christmas Day? January the 25th. 1 month late.
Hi, happy Christmas. Oh, sorry.
For example, do you know when she did her spring cleaning at Early Bird Cottage? In the summer. 3 months late.
Hi, happy Easter. Oh, sorry.
For instance, do you know when she went on a summer holiday last year? In winter. In December. In the snow. 6 months late.
Hi, wish you were here. Sorry.
Just along the road, almost next door, was Two Pin Cottage, where a friend of hers lived, Little Miss Neat. Little Miss Neat had decided that afternoon to go for a walk. As she came to Early Bird Cottage, she noticed Miss Late in her garden, up to her ears in long grass. She called over the fence to her.
Hello, what are you doing? I thought I cut the grass.
Miss Neat looked over the hedge.
I think that you should have thought about that months ago. I tell you what, let's go shopping together tomorrow. Oh, great idea. I'll meet you in town on the corner of Main Street tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock.
You're quiet. I'll be there.
The following afternoon, little Miss Neat stood on the corner of Main Street. It was 2 o'clock, and she was waiting for Miss Late. And she waited, and waited, and waited some more. Mr. Topsy-Turvy walked past, backwards, of course. Afternoon good. Finally, Miss Late arrived.
Hi. A bit late, I'm afraid. A bit late? It's 6 o'clock and all the shops are shut. Sorry.
And that's what happened all the time. It happened when Miss Late decided to take a job. Her first job was in a bank, but the trouble was, by the time she arrived for work,
Hi.
the bank had closed.
Sorry.
And that was the end of her first job. Her second job was working as a waitress in a restaurant. Mr. Greedy was in for lunch, and he glanced at the menu.
Oh, good. Yes, I'll have, everything. Twice. With chips.
He was still waiting to be served at 7 o'clock that evening. So he went home,
Sorry.
and that was the end of her second job. Her third job was working as a secretary for Mr. Uppity. I'd like these letters typed before I go home this evening. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when Miss Late said,
Finished.
Yes, you certainly have.
Sorry.
And that was the end of her third job. But now, at last, Miss Late has managed to find herself the perfect job. Now she works for Mr. Lazy, cleaning his house and cooking his meals. And little Miss Late, being little Miss Late, is always late for work. So she doesn't arrive for work in the morning. She arrives as Mr. Lazy gets up.
Good afternoon, Miss... sorry, Miss Late.
Hi.
And Mr. Lazy, being Mr. Lazy, doesn't have breakfast in the morning like you or I do. He has breakfast in the evening.
Great.
So you see, it all works very well. Very well indeed.
Mr. Lacey.
Mm.